E-Dub in the house, baby. Evolve Weapon Systems. A delicious and delectable freedom seed dispensing machine, handmade in the greatest country in America, that is Texas. Now, I know what you boys are thinking. Who in the Sam hell is Evolve Weapon Systems? And why are they even being mentioned in the same sentence as Knight's Armament? Gentlemen, it's not clickbait, and even cooler, it's actually in stock. So let's dive in. Guys, let's save you some loot while getting still one of the most refined, smoothest, and hand-fitted accurate carbines on the market today. First things first, guys, if this is your first time tuning in, welcome aboard the most goodest BS tier gun tuber ship you have ever seen. If you're here with the homies every single week, welcome back, you handsome devils. It is a pleasure to be in your presence. Now, you probably know by now, if you've watched me in the past, I am the last person you are going to see out here shilling for dollar bills. I am not one of those clowns out here selling my soul to whomever is going to write the largest paycheck, send me the most free stuff in exchange for paid opinions, and just straight up lying about product. You know those folks out there pushing hot garbage, getting cherry-picked guns sent to them for free with a cute little $5,000 check tucked in the receiver, telling you how you're gonna be missing out and making a mistake if you don't consume XYZ product they decided to shill that week. Nah, that ain't me. It's never going to be me. This right here, whatever 110 Sass actually is just some goofy hillbilly with a gun and a camera, playing dress up and LARPing hard for the kings of the community once a week. That's it. And that's all this will ever be. Crappy jokes and shooting guns really hard and just telling you my own trash opinions about XYZ guns that I decide to buy. Okay, now that my run for Congress speech is over with, let's talk about this little company here, EWS, and what this gun is all about. So, first things first, it's not very often that I'm genuinely impressed with a carbine and come out hot with a lead and intro quite like that, but guys, this is something different. I'm gonna go ahead, let's just start from the top and we'll work our way down. In the grand scheme of things, EWS, it's a pretty brand new company, but not necessarily brand new in the grand scheme of things. In 2017, a gentleman by the name of Adam Tarr, who's been in the business for quite some time, decided to start building carbines. And building for the homies soon turned into a major production for civilians and agencies alike. So it's not just a fly-by-night like you see so often, you know, those guys that make a few awesome ARs, a few custom guns or whatever, and then all of a sudden they get a little behind because they become very popular, they don't know how to manage their time, and then out of nowhere, orders are simply not getting filled, and the dude goes MIA and ends up ghosting everyone, ends up on some beach with an umbrella drink and a paid-by-the-hour companion with that mountain of loot that person has stole. Nah, EWS is not that. And from my research, the owner has actually been in the business for like a couple decades now. And I'm telling you, it's probably one of the best and new upcoming brands that I have found, period. It's not terribly often that I'm just genuinely blown away by a carbine and have an intro quite like that, you know, coming out so strong. I mean, the thing is that there is a million different flavors of AR15's on the market today. There's never been a time in our history as the greatest country in the world, yes, greatest country in the world, with more options and really, honestly, just high quality stuff at very competitive prices. So you ask, why are you hyping up this stuff and what makes us different than any other brand on the market? Well, let us begin, gentlemen. So, to understand the AR-15 manufacturing game is to understand what you get at each price level. So, you know, there's the cheap stuff, the $300 to $600 to $900 stuff. There's $1,000, $2,000 stuff. And then there's the crazy expensive $3,000, $5,000 stuff. There's absolute garbage stuff that you can get that might be stress-free, you know, and you get 1,000 rounds out of it, never a single issue, whatever. But more than likely, it's going to be a tremendous pile of crap. You know, that roughly $399 special to like $900 range. Cheaper parts with very little first-hand engineering by the said manufacturer. They go and they order every single other part from a huge OEM manufacturer, have that guy stamp their little logo on it, assemble it, and sell it. Typically with, you know, extremely little quality control. And whatever issues arise when you get that gun after shooting it, putting it through the paces, is probably going to be related to the lack or non-existent quality control. Then you have that mid-level stuff. This is by far the largest price range, I would say, that can be broken up into honestly like 3 separate levels, but I don't want to be here all day, so that kind of gets you that $1,000 to $2,000 price range GATs. You're gonna get a little extra quality control. Some of the parts might even be made by the manufacturer whose name is on the receiver itself, and whatever parts aren't made in-house are sourced from companies that go the extra mile, making these things just a little bit better to help ensure the final end user, that's you, get a quality tool. Now, in this price range, there's brands that outsource 100% of everything, from manufacturing, assembly, to a decent amount of R&D and designing those parts to enhance that shooting experience. Even if that's outsourced, it can still be done by a quality company. It just makes your shooting experience a little bit better, the capabilities of that carbine a touch better, and just the overall reliability better. Then there's that ultra high-end stuff where every single part and every single piece is designed from the ground up, made 100% in-house. Thousands and thousands of rounds are put through them, 6 to 7 figures spent on each gun before the first prototype is even made. Now you're asking yourself, where does EWS lie in that whole shenanigans of list there? What's interesting is their price point is right there, competing head to head with a ton of your favorite and well-known brands that don't do a lick of their own R&D, outsource every single part to a different manufacturer and have another company assemble all of them just to stamp their own name on them and collect the checks. That's all they do. And guess what? That's okay. Sometimes you can get good guns in there, but if I am buying a gun and I am recommending a gun, I'm not going to name any names. There will be another episode, and I promise there's going to be some dirt unloaded harder than your first time you ever shot an MG into trash. I'm talking grip and rip, don't stop until you hear a click, until I probably end up getting sued. I promise that'll be an episode in the future. But back to the topic at hand. What is so dope about the Evolve weapon system is that not only does the owner quality control every single part that goes into this gun, every single rifle that person is going to touch. I'm talking full on nerding out over here. White lab coats, the science goggles and stuff, calipers, gauges, and all of that stuff. But hey, there's nothing wrong with that because that is exactly who you want building your gun. The last thing you want is a guy like me that only knows how to pull a trigger, some goofy goober out there LARPing on the camera, building something you may rely your life on. That is not who you want. You want the absolute geniuses, those engineers in the lab coats making these guns, because if that were the case, well, baby, grab some sticks and rocks if I'm making it, because it's about to get medieval. It's the numerous small things like barrel fitment that isn't just hammered into the receiver and say, haha, that's good to go. Nah, let's match the barrel to the receiver for the perfect fitment that will give us the tightest tolerances for an accuracy buff cheat code. Playing around with gas port sizes down to the single thousandth to ensure your gun is going to run smooth and not blast your eyeballs with gas, but also not short stroke and slow up and cause malfunctions after, you know, a few hundred rounds. It just gets a little dirty. Small little things like that add up and compound into what makes a phenomenal weapon system. If it's just a touch out of spec, the person, he's just tossing it. Nah, it's not good enough for us, but would still work fine for pretty much any of the end users that put 1,000 rounds a week through it, and they would never know the difference. It's still not good enough. I'm talking the goofy goobers like me that are just mag dumping into trash, shooting out at my farm, just doing goofy stuff with them. Chasing excellence is the motto over there, and it's pretty sweet because, well, again, like dudes like me, I'm probably never gonna know the difference if it's not fitted absolutely perfect. But guess what? That's awesome. That's exactly why I'm buying a gun like this, though. It's like, hey, you know, I kind of know what's going on over there behind the scenes, and they're doing all this extra stuff to make it just a touch more gooder. Kind of like that, not gonna lie. Now, usually with that kind of quality control, and usually with those kind of extra steps to making a gun a touch more gooder, if you will, usually comes with a price tag that, well, would kind of make you want to vomit or induce the old bowl of ice soup for dinner for a month. Well, this is where it gets fun. For the cost of your typical high-end BCM, Colt, Sons of Liberty, Gunworks, Hodge, whatever, you name it, in that $1,500 to $2,000 price range, you are getting a gun, in my garbage opinion, that rivals anything in that $3,000 to $4,000 range. Guys, This thing, I'm telling you, it's smooth shooting. You can literally just get in sync when you're shooting this gun. When you're out there just blasting, you feel every single part working inside. You can feel the click of that hammer falling and being pushed back into reset by the bolt carrier group. You can feel that weight, that smooth just shift of the internals being pushed back into the buffer tube every time it goes bang, but it still stays flat. On the Lord, I have owned guns twice and 3 times the price of this exact gun right here, this EWS Evolve Weapon System. And it feels like an unrefined just explosion in your face with one giant slam and rack, and you don't even know what happened, but I mean, it still goes bang, but it's just like, ugh, dang, that was kind of a little violent. But that's not how I feel about this gun here. And it's entirely different than most other carbines. I would say, actually not most, I'd say 99% of carbines in that price range that these things sell for. And what's awesome too is it's customizable. Guys, you have different barrel lengths, rail length, you have different options between your hand guards. On the lower, you have your choice between ambi and non-ambi. You can get the bolt catch here with this little lever, push up for your bolt catch, push down to drop the bolt. You can get it slick and traditional like a mil-spec lower if that's not your thing too. There's also a few different levels of the carbine, ranging from your standard duty setup to an ultra crazy high-end match kind of gat with crazy high-end barrels that shoot half-minute groups with good match ammo. That's impressive. Oh, and did I mention it's at a fraction of the price of a Knight's gun and kind of sounds like a no-brainer? Well, it is a no-brainer because it's actually in stock. Guys, I'm telling you, there's no BS here. I have zero dog in this fight with this company, with this gun, whatever. I just buy shit and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I have nothing at stake here but you kings and the respect you guys have for me. And you know dang well old dad ain't out here taking dollar bills in exchange for paid opinions and being nothing but a shill and making what is essentially commercials for folks with the largest paycheck. Nah, that ain't me and it's never going to be me. I'm going to tell you exactly as I see it here. I'm self-funded and there ain't a single person in my bank account other than the IRS. Dadgone. If you've watched any of my other episodes, guys, you know I've taken massive dookies on some high-end guns and that just end up being garbage and nothing but overpriced, overhyped bullcrap. And straight up, boys, if you are considering a rifle for serious use, whether it's just a duty gun, protect your family and homestead kind of gun, or simply just a sporting tool to poke holes in paper with, I'm telling you, this is something you should really look into. The Evolve Weapon Systems lineup of ARs is just, the best way to put it is just, it's kind of the best bang for your buck kind of gun. And if you're coming to that point in time in your life where you're just itching to add another carbine to your safe, you know, another something to the arsenal, another tool to do a job, I would really consider looking at these things because, I mean, the thing is that there's so many different flavors of ARs out there and every single one of them just seems to be the same and it's just small differences. Like you shoot that one, you go and blindfold test, let's say 50 different guns. You're probably gonna see like 4 differences between the 50 different guns. You're gonna be like, that one shoots like crap. Yeah, that one's okay. That one shoots pretty daggone good. And that one's, wow, that one's pretty awesome. I would compare these kinds of guns here to something really high end. I would compare this gun to, I would say honestly, an LMT kind of gun. I would compare it to a Knight's gun. I compare it to some of the high end custom Hodge builds and stuff like that. This gun is absolutely phenomenal. And what I really like is what you get for the price. You just don't see manufacturers pumping out guns like this in the price range that they're in with the type of quality control that goes into them. I mean, it's kind of strange to really see a company that actually cares about the product more than profits. You just don't see that very often. Everybody's in market to make the most money as possible. Well, it's more of a hobby I have found for these guys. Like it's just, I want to make really cool stuff and I want to sell a bunch of these. I don't care if I make a bajillion dollars on each single gun. It's not about that. It's about making good quality stuff. And it's just, you don't really see that too often. It's refreshing, if you will. I mean, especially in today's day and age, you know, everything is out of stock. You know, you got to wait on drops and people buying bots. I will admit it's getting a lot better. You know, stuff is getting a lot more in stock more often. Shipments are coming out, but there's still some of those high-end stuff, those gray old guns that people want, the gray old guns that you've been saving for. You've been waiting for months on end to get, and you finally just get frustrated. And you're like, dude, I'm not waiting any longer. I want to buy something. I feel like this is kind of that, this fills that right there because No, you're not buying the heritage of, like, let's say an LMT gun or a Knight's Armament gun. You buy those kinds of guns because, one, you want the best tool out there, and you want that name. You want that manufacturer's name on your gun. Not because you're like, oh yeah, man, I'd shoot XYZ brand, like, oh, I'm something special. No, that is not it, and that's not the case at all. You're buying it because it's the peace of mind that comes with buying a high-end carbine, you know. It doesn't matter if it's a gun, it doesn't matter if it's your shoes, your boots, your car, your truck, whatever it is. You buy a high-end vehicle, you buy a high-end pair of boots because what they are capable of, not necessarily if you're going to use it for that. You know how many times I've seen people with super mega 450 diesel trucks and stuff like that, and all they tow is a lawnmower, you know, so it's like at, I don't know, 1/10 of the total capacity of it. Like, bro, buy a Ford Ranger and you're still not even capacity of what you're trying to tow with it. It doesn't matter because you're buying it for what it can do, not exactly what you are going to do. And what's cool is this does all of that. This is exactly like a Ford F450, if you will. Like, yeah, you know, your typical end user probably isn't going to be going to war with this gun. They may not even be shooting matches, you know, on the weekly, on the monthly or anything. They may shoot 1 or 2 a year. But it's a matter of what it can do when you need it. When you need this thing, when you need your gun, when you need to shoot super tight groups at long range, when you need to shoot 1,000 rounds and you need no failures. This is kind of the gun. This is a gun that, it's kind of strange because this is my first one that I've actually ever had, and the first one I've actually ever shot, and it's strange. It's a strange feeling to kind of be just blown away by a gun that is just, you've never heard of. You know, you buy XYZ brand. Let's say you buy a 6-hour. You know what you're getting. You're getting a pretty decent gun. You're going to pay a decent amount for it because you got the 6-hour logo on there and their heritage, but, you know, there's probably a little bit left to be desired. And you buy something like this and you're like, God, it's going to be a coin toss. This thing could be a complete pile of crap, or it could be a really nice gun. I have no idea. But you get it and you shoot it. You put a couple mags to it and you're like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I liked that. That's nice. That's nice. And then you go and you put a couple 100 rounds through it. And then you put a couple 1,000 rounds through it and you're like, whoa, I really like that gun. Wow, that's, it feels as if it's an extension of your own arm. That, I feel, that's like a deal breaker, is when you buy a gun and you shoot it and you're just kind of like, I am working the carbine, like I am manipulating the carbine, versus this gun is an extension of my own hand. This gun is an extension of myself. And when I shoot, it's there, you know, it's just, it's really difficult to explain. I know it sounds silly, I'm sure, but I don't know. I really like what they have going on there. And I don't know. I hope to see a lot of really cool stuff, some new stuff from these guys in the future. You know, maybe even getting into large frame gassers, because you guys know what a simp I am for big old 7.62 and 6.5 short large frame gassers. So guys, I think that's a wrap here on this Evolve weapon system. So gentlemen, I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in, listening to me rant and ramble here about, random guns I buy and stuff like that. So I appreciate you guys supporting me. I cannot thank you enough. This channel's just, it's blown up here recently. I'm talking, in January, we had 30,000 subscribers. Now I think we're pushing like 340,000. So in like 4 months, guys, we've gotten 300,000 subscribers. It's kind of crazy. It's a little weird, to be honest with you, because I'm just some random hillbilly dude with a gun, like, in a camera that LARPs for the boys, and I just, it's truly a humbling experience to see you guys really appreciate the stuff I'm doing here. So I'm not gonna stop. We ain't stopping until we've hit a gorillion followers. So gentlemen, I'm gonna end it with that. Thank you, and say it with me: run your gun and not your mouth. And until next time.